The Rocketeer is taking flight once again. How about that latest freaky episode of Marvel's What If? And I have my review of Double Fine's Psychonauts 2. All that and the latest and everything cool today in The Rundown. Hey, welcome to The Rundown. My name is Victor Lucas, and I'm so happy that you've joined us here in the Electric Playground. Today's episode is brought to you by Pinnacle, which is headed back to the Vancouver Convention Center. It's hosted by the Gaming Stadium, along with partners Even Matchup Gaming, Gallant Gaming, and Vancouver Street Battle. They're bringing you 3 days of non-stop gaming action. Pinnacle runs from Friday, October 8th to Sunday, October 10th, and it's going to feature a $30,000 prize pool with some top competitive games like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Street Fighter, and Guilty Gear. You can register today to compete or spectate at tgs.gg. All right, today's episode is dedicated to Michael C., who says Starfield looks amazing. I just finished Streets of Rage 4 and would like to see that one on an OLED screen. But no matter the screen quality, I'll probably always play docked whenever I can. And of course, Michael's talking about the Nintendo Switch OLED right there, which you are going to be spending a little bit more money on to pick that thing up, right? The Switch is not cheap as it is, and then when you go to the Switch OLED, you're paying a little bit more. So you're going to want to protect it. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be a system that stays docked quite a bit. I have done so much traveling, though, with my Switch in the past. Now, I haven't over the last couple of years. I've been here in the electric basement, but I am really dying to hit the road a bit, but also to play games on that OLED screen. I can't wait to check that thing out. All right, let's get started with the rundown, and I've got some great news for Rocketeer fans like me. I have some incredible Rocketeer news to report. The Return of the Rocketeer is a new movie that's being developed for Disney+, and it stars David Oyelowo, who is also one of the producers, along with his wife Jessica, and it's a totally different take, different characters, but I love the concept. This is a retired Tuskegee Airman pilot who fought in World War II, gets the mantle and becomes the Rocketeer in this concept, and I just think that that's fantastic. Oyelowo is an amazing actor. I've seen him in tons of things, and he's always impeccable in his work, and I couldn't be more excited about this. I just hope that there is some space in this, because it sounds like it's a little bit extrapolated from what we saw timeline-wise in the original Rocketeer film from 1991. I just hope that there's some kind of space or mention or throw to the actors and the characters from the original Rocketeer film. I'd like to see Cliff Secord in there, and of course I would like to see Billy Campbell, who is an incredible guy, and I've got an awesome interview with him on the channel that you should check out, a Vic's Basement episode that we did not too long ago. And he's as big a fan of the Rocketeer as I am, so I know that he's incredibly excited about this news as well. Of course, he's also involved with the Rocketeer animated show that's on Disney+. I don't know if more is coming of that, but it's a really charming show. And the other cool Rocketeer news is that there's a board game that's coming out very soon. You're going to be able to pick it up at Gen Con, actually, which I believe is probably an online event. So there's probably some ways to order that right now, but it's going to be coming out later this year from Funko Games, and the art that's a part of this Rocketeer board game, it just looks amazing. I'm not a huge board game guy, but I am circling this because this looks incredible. But anyways, I just want to talk about the Rocketeer because I'm a massive fan of that world and that universe. It's good to see Disney not forgetting that they have this other retro era flying incredible superhero under their banner. And who knows, man? Maybe Rocketeer ends up becoming part of this sort of World War II era collection of superheroes that they bring together. Maybe we see Captain Carter and the Rocketeer and Captain America from back then, and Namor. Eventually they're going to do the Submariner. It was also a World War II character. It would be really incredible if all of that stuff kind of fuses together. But fired up, man. Can't wait to see what happens with this new Rocketeer. Something else that I've been fired up by is Psychonauts 2. I have to admit, I have been shocked by the quality of Double Fine's Psychonauts 2. I enjoyed the first Psychonauts game. I thought it was a very clever experience, but it wasn't quite as refined as some of the other top-of-the-line action-adventure platformers out there. So when I jump into Psychonauts 2 and I see the fidelity and I see the shine and the polish and the experience kind of seeping through this game, it's so much fun to play. That is the core of Psychonauts 2. There are lots and lots of great hooks, lots of things to keep you engaged in this experience. The things that we would expect out of a Double Fine game, a sense of humor and some great clever writing and some interesting characters that have a lot of nuance and subtlety and interesting layers to kind of peel back. All of that is present in this game. That's the tough stuff to make, let's be frank. I mean, there are a lot of really tuned and polished experiential video games out there where you get the twitch sensation and the joy of play, but not that many games that you can count on for great storytelling and great character development. And Double Fine has always been a master with that kind of stuff. And that harkens back to Tim Schafer and some of his colleagues' roots back making LucasArts adventure games. And when you play Psychonauts 2, you see that lineage, you see that heritage, it's in the gameplay. And of course now Psychonauts has been around as a franchise for 16 years. There's the VR game as well. But Psychonauts 2, and I have to think that it was that influx of support and financial resources that Double Fine selling to Microsoft has benefited from, is exemplified in this game. This is a terrific stand toe-to-toe with the best in the business platform action title. It obviously has lots of other layers and lots of other things to keep you engaged, lots of funny moments and exquisitely crafted cut sequences that are well voiced and well written and well orchestrated. Clint Blazikian's music throughout this game is absolutely stellar. You're going to want to have it all cranked up. On top of that is a game that just plays very well. You're going to have the occasional quirk with some of the geometry, and part of it is because the world and the character designs of Psychonauts is so kind of antithetical to reality. It's not, square corners. It's not like super smooth. It's really kind of janky and twisty and pointy, and sometimes it's upside down. And all of that is because you're playing inside of a game world that takes place inside of minds of characters which have their own kind of jank and their own kind of twisted view and perspective of the world around them. And so as a player, you're constantly trying to puzzle solve how the hell you just move around in these spaces. Whether you're in an old forgotten forest or a giant bowling experience in an overgrown city or a flea circus or a dentist's office or a crazy acid trip rock concert or something like that. But that constant mishmash of styles and that leaning into surprising the player over and over again can be quite overwhelming. There were times in this game where I was like, what the hell am I supposed to be doing? Where am I going? Where am I? Because, you don't know if you're in an overworld and a hub world exploring the environments of the Psychonauts and some of the decrepit environments of the Psychonauts and the more modernized ones, or you're inside of a mind, or you're inside of a mind that's been implanted into the body of another person, and, there's imagery leaking in, and there's story and subplot and threads leading back to the history of Psychonauts. It's all interwoven in there. So this is a game, and I have to be honest, I'm not a Psychonauts expert, and I don't know every one of these characters inside. I mean, I've gotten to know them through playing this game, but I certainly I don't carry the lore around it, locked in my head like Star Wars or something like that. But I believe that this is a game where you don't need to be, familiar with the past to enjoy the experience of the present. But if you are, it is going to please you in some immense ways, because there's lots of callbacks and throwbacks and loopbacks, every kind of back. But there's lots of joy and surprise of just figuring stuff out as you go along. The developers at Double Fine were acutely aware that not everybody was going to come to this with the predetermined history already locked into place. What this game does do with that history, though, is it makes you want to go back and re-examine. Now, I really want to go back and play through the first Psychonauts game. I want to play the VR Psychonauts game as well, Rhombus of Ruin. I was just charmed by this world in totality. I loved getting to know Raz's family a little bit. I liked that Raz was being treated as an intern by the agents of the Psychonauts, but he was also earning their respect and, taking more and more responsibility onto himself. He has some allies that give him gadgets and equip him with abilities along the way, and of course you unlock all of these great psi abilities, telekinesis, and you're able to burn things, and you're able to slow down time. You're able to create a different version of yourself, like a paper-thin version of yourself that you can use to unlock doors and solve puzzles and things. There are lots of great little treats all the way along. The game is never not giving you rewards, whether it's beautiful visual stimulation or a complete kind of redraft on where we're going with the musical score, or this cool environment that's drawn up for you, or even these little side conversations that you'll get into with characters all the way. It is sublime. I mean, it was just great fantastic escapism. It's easily one of the best games that I have played in 2021. I have to be frank, I'm so shocked. I thought I was going to like it. I thought that this was going to be a solid 8 out of 10 type of experience, and I was going to applaud Double Fine. But this is so much more than that. It's an electrifying game, and it puts Double Fine up, in rarefied air in the games industry. Like, this is a team now that you can clearly see can make anything. These games are hard to make. Games that feel this great on the stick, but also challenge you mentally and give you great puzzles to solve and great mobility with your character, and just this constant sort of stream of fantastic joy and reward. These are very hard games to make, and Double Fine just absolutely nailed it. This is a beautiful experience, and yes, it's in the contention for Game of the Year. I'll be talking about this all year long. Xbox fans have no excuse but to download this thing because it's part of Game Pass, and it also starts to make it a really, really strong argument for why you would want to pivot towards Game Pass and get that subscription, because you're going to be able to play games like this on day one. It is exquisite entertainment, and yes, there are moments where there is a little bit of confusion, but that's kind of to be expected in a game where there's so much psychoanalysis and there's so much character exploration, inwardly and outwardly. There's a meta exploration element, and then there's an internal exploration element where you're really trying to help people. It's such a wonderful piece of art. I was really, really impressed with Psychonauts 2. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. I just got finished watching the 4th episode of the first season of What If, and what I have to say to Marvel is that, holy crap, are they just blowing me away with that sitting in front of the television, eating my cereal, watching cartoons kind of, perspective on all of this. Marvel's What If is like a complete reset on what we expect out of these Marvel stories, and this one focused on Doctor Strange and his origin tale, and really kind of posits the question about what would happen to Doctor Strange if he lost his heart, the person that he loves, instead of his hands. And he, of course, is a man that's filled with lots of foibles and a great deal of pride. We know that about Doctor Strange. It's something that he struggles with as a character. He tries to fix things. He's a doctor, and so he uses the amulet of time and tries to go back in time and save his love, Christine Palmer, played by Rachel McAdams, and that has dire consequences. And so we see that monkeying with the timeline can be catastrophic to the world around Doctor Strange. And of course, this leads into what we're about to experience now with Spider-Man No Way Home. We already got a glimpse of some of the calamities that are going to befall Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and the other Marvel characters in the trailer for No Way Home. And so this is an interesting lead up, because now we're seeing a different Doctor Strange from a different universe, because that's the whole conceit here, is we have the Watcher sort of pivot and say, well, this is what happened over here, and this was the inflection point. This Doctor Strange gets consumed with his desire, his mad desire to turn back time and bring Christine Palmer back to life. And we see the ramifications of that. We see him kind of just having to acquire the power of celestial beings and powerful magical beings and manifestations to have enough power to turn back time. Ultimately, there are tragic results and some pretty heavy lessons learned. It's a powerful examination of that Marvel motto, with great power comes great responsibility line. It's powerful stuff. It's very heady. It kind of messes with your mind as you're watching it. Partially, it's because the beautiful animation and all of these different creatures and characters intersecting and interweaving and going in different dimensions. It looks like the real world for a bit. We've got images and imagery that we can kind of see from comic pages animated, and then everything gets twisted, and we're in space, and we're in hell, and we're in these demonic kind of creations and environments and worlds. There's beautiful effect work as well, visual effect work. The magical powers of Doctor Strange are so well represented in this episode. And again, it's like a little mini Marvel movie. It's an incredible show. God, I'm just so blown away by where Marvel can take us with the what if line here, because every week is a surprise. Although there's lots of familiar kind of hooks and things that we can kind of tie to what we know, and that includes the voice cast like Benedict Wong is in this, and Tilda Swinton is in this. Rachel McAdams is back, and how weird is it that Benedict Wong and Benedict Cumberbatch are both stars in the Doctor Strange franchise? I've never thought of that before. But Cumberbatch is in here as well, and he's terrific because he's got to add a whole bunch of different layers to this character. Talk about a multifaceted creation, Doctor Strange, right? He exists on so many planes within the Marvel universe and the MCU, and that's really well presented here in this 4th episode of Marvel's What If. This is, not to be missed entertainment, particularly if you're a fan of the MCU, but I don't even think you have to be, because this, plays with the archetypes and the familiar of these Marvel characters, but it also is such wonderful artistry in every sense of the word. You're just hurting yourself by not watching the show. It's amazing. I'm going to give Marvel's What If Episode 4 a 9 out of 10. And speaking of Doctor Strange, he is going to be one of the characters featured prominently in the new Marvel's Midnight Suns game that Firaxis is developing for us. They released a gameplay overview trailer today. It's a tactical turn-based experience akin to what Firaxis has been doing with XCOM for years, but there's also a card-playing dynamic in there where you're served up all kinds of abilities and buffs and things like that that you can employ as you're getting on the battlefield. You're taking on the forces of Lilith, which has these demonic kind of overtones to it, so lots of demons that you're going to have to crush, and you're going to be able to augment your superhero team and go back to the Abbey, which is kind of the home base, the headquarters. And one of the cool things that they've talked about here with Midnight Suns is that you're creating a brand new superhero in the form of the Hunter, and you're going to have lots of customizable opportunities there to kind of make this hero your own, which is really cool. And then, of course, the Hunter is going to be augmented by the familiar. We're going to see Captain Marvel and Iron Man and Wolverine and Blade and Ghost Rider. Just talking about it gets me so freaking excited. That game is coming out next year. I'm liking everything that I'm seeing on it, but I want to know what you guys think. Are you excited about Firaxis making a Marvel game? Does Midnight Suns look like something you want to play? Let me know in the comments below. And just one last thing to talk about here. DC Fandome is coming up very soon, October 16th, and you're going to want to circle that date because we're going to be getting glimpses of the Batman, the Flash, probably the second Shazam movie, and Aquaman 2. We're definitely going to see a little bit more of Gotham Knights, that WB Montreal video game that I can't wait to play next year with the Bat family. And today we also learned that next year on October 19th, we're going to be getting the Injustice animated movie that has been talked about. Now, this is the movie based on the incredible NetherRealm game series. They're making a film of it, an animated film. I think it's probably going to lead to somewhere down the road there's going to be a live action Injustice. And anybody that knows the storyline in the Injustice games is going to be elated with this news, as I am. I cannot freaking wait to see this. So, we know that the DC universe can be up and down. There's been some successes and some disappointments and stuff out there. Love the Suicide Squad, though, recently. But I am super excited to see what's going to be revealed at the Fandome event, because we're going to get to see a lot of footage. A lot of stuff is headed our way. They have not stopped, stepping on the gas to bring us some more DC entertainment. Some of it has got to blow our minds, for sure. So I'm looking forward to that very much. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for the rundown today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow with a fresh episode for you, so please come back for that. Thank you for hitting that subscribe button, for hitting that little bell to be notified. Thank you for following our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/EPN. And thank you, of course, to our EPN members. We'll see you tomorrow, and until then, play forever.